Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick unboxing and first look at the Lenovo Yoga 7i. Now this is the 15.6-inch model. It is a Tiger Lake-based convertible. I'm excited to share it with all of you. It just arrived from Lenovo for review purposes. I believe it retails for around $1,050 US. You can see the build information right there. So essentially this is the direct upgrade path from the 1065 G7. This is the Tiger Lake i7 Intel 1165 G7 clocked at 2.8 gigahertz, 12 gigs of RAM, a ½ terabyte NVMe drive, of course integrated graphics. I believe it's Iris Xe, and the color is dark moss. We have, I wish we would have gotten a 16 gig model, but 12 gigs of RAM will still suffice for many of you. And you have to remember that this is the successor to the 740 series. So much like the C940 series was succeeded by the 9i, now we've got the 740 series succeeded by the 7i. So a complete rebranding. Let's take a look at what we've got here. So I'm going to pull the machine out first, and clearly someone has gotten to this review unit before I. In fact, there's no box there. I'm assuming that's how it comes, but it may not. So do not take this to be a literal one-for-one for what your experience might be as a buyer of this product, because this is from Lenovo's PR department. And one thing I really liked about the 740 series was build quality. It was excellent. It was a solid value delivered basically on everything you could possibly want. Now this is a little bit more expensive, over $1,000. The model that I covered this past year was, a more budget-friendly one. It only had 8 gigs of RAM, an i5 processor, so I'm not going to pretend it's a one-for-one comparison because it isn't. But this model still seems to be something that if I were in the market for, again, a well-made, budget-friendly machine, this hopefully will be at the top of the list. But let's take a look. So again, we've got a 15.6-inch display and fairly modern setup. It's already powered on. Lenovo tends to make sure these are ready to go as soon as they hit the studio here. So just a thank you. Obviously, this is not a purchase. A little bit of cloth in between the display and the keyboard, and someone else's hair there. Let's see if I can get it out. Doesn't look like it. It's really wedged in there. And look, if it's mine, it's mine. But straight out of the box, it ain't mine, folks. So basically, again, really similar to the 740. We've got a Type-C 65-watt charging brick with wall adapter. Of course, this is not set up to my network. But one of the things that I'm impressed by with Lenovo almost every time they send me a system is battery management. Now, this has a little bit more wobble than the 9i series. So just keep that in mind. No pen included here to my knowledge. I don't believe anything is docked here. We have a fingerprint scanner, full HD, of course, touch screen, and it is an IPS panel. But that battery management I mentioned, because so many manufacturers right now, when it comes to battery management, when the machines are asleep, they're pretty bad. Lenovo seems to be the best at this. They really, whatever they're employing in their battery management end of software for their BIOS, they do it better, I think, than anyone else in the business. So credit where it's due. My HP, I love it. My Spectre 13, I love the 15T that I've reviewed. But as much as I love those machines, they don't do anywhere nearly as well at battery management when it comes to putting machines to sleep and waking them back up. For some odd reason, they just like to drain themselves in a way that Lenovo does not do. So keyboard looks fairly similar, but as I mentioned, the 740 series, the one I covered, didn't have a numerical keypad because it was not a 15.5-inch display. It was a 14-inch display, so it was somewhere really in between. But from a performance standpoint, this 1165G Tiger Lake processor is going to perform very well, as the integrated graphics will as well. So if you're looking for a powerful, ultralight, again, lower cost version of the 9i, that's where this comes in. Now the speaker deck is, or rather the speakers are built right into the top of the deck. I'm not expecting speaker performance like we get out of the 9i. That's best in class from any manufacturer, but I'm still expecting some good stuff. In terms of keyboard, it looks pretty much identical. They did do a little bit of a revamp. You can still, of course, cycle, or at least I thought, yeah, through power modes using function and Q. You have stages of brightness. The camera up at the top center has a privacy physical plastic switch. No Windows Hello, but again, you do have the fingerprint scanner. In terms of course, ability, as I mentioned, this is a 2-in-1, so you can do with this as you will, tent mode, tablet mode, whatever mode you want. That's the beauty of 2-in-1s, and that's the reason they are my favorite type of laptop. I mean, they are all about versatility. This brown color, I'm not in love with, but I bet some of you will be. So, I mean, it's just another option in their color scheme. Let's start with the left side of the machine. You can see, get these guys out of frame just so there are zero autofocus impairments. So we have a Thunderbolt port here, Thunderbolt port here. I believe these are both Thunderbolt 4, so keep that in mind. This is something that unfortunately was omitted on the C740. So already the 7i delivering in a way that we did not have access to in terms of current technology. So I like that. Especially as this machine goes on sale, it's just going to become even more compelling if it lives up to my expectation. Headphone, microphone jack combo right there. This clearly is designated as the charging port, but I'm assuming both of these will work as charging ports. We'll find out. Nothing on the back of the machine other than ventilation and the hinge itself, which looks very similar to the 740. And I'll probably, do a direct comparison to the 740 since that is still in-house. And then we have two Type A USB ports, and that's pretty much it. Now remember, the Type C, the Thunderbolt ports that I just showed you, can act as video out. They can pretty much act as anything. They've got that throughput that whatever you need them to do, whether we're talking about high-speed storage connectivity, essentially connecting a Type C hub that can do it all, you've got it. And that's why there's this shift to it. And the power button, fairly straightforward. This is very similar to the 9i in terms of looks and feel, and that's the beauty of the 7 series, is that it's less expensive, but the only thing that usually is the clear differentiator is no garaged pen, so that's a separate purchase. The garaged pen on the 9 series is pocketed here, or on the 15.6-inch version right here. And of course, no soundbar hinge. But overall, this looks like a nice machine, and I'm excited to set it up because I think this is more of the every person machine that is going to be affordable, is going to be popular. Battery life is rated at like 20 hours with this full HD display. We're going to see if that's legit. I'm not expecting that, but I am expecting something like 10 hours, which I still think is very good. And if I go ahead and just... well, I would have to log on. This is not, as I said, it's not networked. I'll save that for the update. But again, just a quick look and to give you a reference point, since I can do that, right? I've got the machines here. Let's take a look. This is the C940, aka 9i, and you see the difference. So 15.6 inches, but you've got that soundbar hinge, whereas here we've got the traditional hinges, and then it's just a thicker machine, but this has a dedicated GPU. There's that garaged pen I was mentioning. The 7 series is, just not in that realm. You do not have a dedicated GPU, so it's a lighter, thinner machine than its 9i counterpart. And then if I go to what is presently my favorite true Tiger Lake as well, upgrade, it's the 9i 14-inch. And that really gives you some major perspective on scale because look at how much smaller the 14-inch model is. It has a more powerful processor. So, this is another comparison I'll likely do just because I feel like it's warranted. But yeah, right now, no question about it, the 9i 14-inch is the ultra portable in the market to beat. This week I will be getting in HP's 13T refresh from the Spectre line, but that still won't have that 1185 G7 processor, which is the most powerful of the Tiger Lake Ultrabook CPUs that you'll find right now here in 2020 and through 2021. But again, this looks to be a very good option for just about anyone, students, kids in general, parents, grandparents. This is, I think, going to be a machine that I can recommend to everyone It's going to be budget friendly because, again, even though right now it's sitting at $1,050, I have a feeling we're going to see this go down in price pretty quickly. I mean, that's just how all electronics work. And in a pandemic like we're going through, laptops really are king. Especially with all of the innovation that's going on. And I expect to see decent gaming out of this too because of the Iris Xe. Again, I believe it's Iris Xe because of the chipset, which means that we should be able in full HD to game, not with AAA titles, but with some relatively modern titles with low to medium settings, which is, again, unheard of for a machine like this with no true dedicated GPU. But in terms of upgradability, the NVMe definitely is. I think the RAM is soldered on this, but I will verify that in my update. I'll have a firm answer. And, just wait for the update if this is the machine you've been waiting to see, and comparisons will come soon as well. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. Hit that like button. And as usual, please feel free to subscribe, and please stay safe. Later.